Filippino Lippi is the son of Fra Filippo Lippi. Presumably his father taught him his first lessons in drawing and painting, but his father died when Lippi was very young, perhaps around 12 years old. We don't know Lippi's exact birth date. He was born either 1457 or 1458. And his father died in 1469. And then he became the pupil of Botticelli. He is a Florentine painter. He was the painter who finished the bottom layer, the bottom tier of the Brancacci Chapel. And when he did that, he adapted his style to harmonize with Masaccio's. Although there certainly are some figures which, realizing that they are separate people, that there are some figures that look a bit more linear, for example, or a bit more elegant, because those are hallmarks of Lippi's style. Lippi's own style was very linear, which he gets from Botticelli, and often with elongated proportions. Sometimes he adds a lot of embellishment or even a crowded composition, and much richness of detail, which has been suggested as possible Netherlandish influence, in certain cases probably classical influence, but he takes Botticelli a bit further, we might say. So let's look at two works by Filippino Lippi that are shown in your book. This is the Vision of Saint Bernard. Saint Bernard of Clairvaux was a 12th century abbot at Clairvaux, the founder of the Cistercian order, a very austere order. And he was probably one of the most famous people in the middle of the 12th century. He is known as the Marian doctor. In other words, he wrote so many treatises on Mary. And one of the reasons, of course, is that he had a vision of the Virgin Mary. So let's see how Filippino Lippi treats the vision of Saint Bernard. The story is told in the Golden Legend, which is the story of the saints written in the 13th century by Jacobus de Voragine. And in the story, Bernard is tired. He's been writing. He's just exhausted. And he prays to the Virgin Mary for strength to continue. And the Virgin Mary appears in front of him and gives him the strength to continue his writing. Now, you can have a lot of different ways of showing a vision, but Filippino Lippi has shown Mary as very physically present. She's standing on the ground, and she actually reaches over and touches the page on which Bernard is working. So, and as you see, there's eye contact between them. Also between them is a text, which is from a Trecento book, and it's telling about the Annunciation. So, of course, Bernard could be writing about the Annunciation, the moment of the Incarnation, in which Christ takes on human flesh. The angels that surround her, I think I've said that this look like little, cute little boys. It's even been suggested that the faces of two of them are related to a Netherlandish painting that was present in Florence, the Portinari altarpiece by Hugo van der Hoos. And on the side panel, we have the two children of the donor, Antonio and Pigale. And people see possibly their faces in two of these angels. We also see a landscape with these very craggy cantilevered rocks and the other members of the Cistercian community, sort of in the middle ground back here, a little further back, looking up at the sky, this glow of light. Possibly this is where Mary came down from heaven. Down in the lower right corner, you see a half-length figure of the donor, Francesco Pugliese, who was a wealthy cloth merchant and commissioned paintings from both Filippino Lippi and, as we'll hear later, from Piero di Cosimo. And he is shown in prayer, as though he is also privy to this vision which has been painted for him. This is a fresco in the Strozzi Chapel in Santa Maria Novella in Florence. It was painted for Signor Strozzi. The Strozzi had been, as you recall, back in the 1420s, the wealthiest family in Florence. They still were extremely wealthy, even though the Medici have been rising and getting more and more wealthy and important. This is a scene that I've never seen before in any painting. It's from an apocryphal story about Saint Philip. Saint Philip was one of the apostles of Christ. And in this story, he is at a pagan temple, a temple of Mars. And you see here the statue of Mars, colored, looking almost like it could step out of off the pedestal and sort of start slashing away with that sword. And so he's gone to this pagan temple, and hiding in the temple is a demon. And the demon is in the form of a dragon with the poisonous breath. And the dragon comes forth, and it kills the son of the king with its poison breath. And then Philip, of course, defeats the dragon/demon. He exorcises it. He sends it back to hell. The priest of Mars is very upset. The demon, there was an idea among Christians that some of the classical gods were actually devils, and the devils might reside in the idols of the pagan religions. And so the priest is extremely upset. His demon, which he sees perhaps as the god, has been destroyed, and Philip is put to death. So here we see Philip in the foreground with his hand raised, commanding this small demonic dragon, also in the foreground. And the figures on either side with the, see here on the right, the son of the king is falling over. Beautiful, elegant, somewhat elongated figures with the beautiful, graceful, curving lines, which Florentines are known for. And it seems a little early to be mannerism, but what you have here is this incredibly elaborate architectural structure that is the setting for the Temple of Mars. And you have statues that are carved and all sorts of decorations. The decorations are believed to, some of them, to have been derived from the golden dome, the golden palace of Nero, which was being excavated in Rome. And some of the artists would go and literally crawl down in the passages to see some of the motifs that were painted on the walls. They were believed to be in a grotto, a cave, because, of course, by this time they're covered up with soil, so they're underground. And so they gave them the name of something from the grotto, grotteschi. And from grotteschi, we get our word grotesques.